guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we will be talking about Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron. Now Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron starts off with a beautiful monologue from Matt Damien, the horse called Spirit, of course, and he talks about how he was there and how he can remember how horses were free and they used to run wild in the warm grass and in the blue skies. And we open with a horse giving birth to her foal, and then that foal is Spirit. So we see him grow into a great stallion, and like the leaders before him, he became leader of the Cimarron herd. But with him being a leader comes responsibility. So he actually does save two little foals from a cougar, and he goes back home with his family, and he's looking up at the sky, but suddenly he hears a noise, and his mother tells him to not go, but he decided that he's just gonna go anyway. So he stumbled upon a couple of cowboys, and he accidentally wakes him up after he knocks a shoe at one of them because it got stuck on his nose, and an odd thing happened. The guy that was sleeping, he accidentally kissed Spirit, and then the guy woke up from his sleep and just started to scream, and then they were running to catch Spirit. They were running to catch him. They were actually running to catch Spirit, but Spirit thinks he's got but no, because Spirit is fast. So he actually did make it back home, but the cowboys ended up following Spirit, so they end up catching him, and his mother tried to save him, but Spirit tells her no. And then Spirit tells us he doesn't know what was going to happen to him, but at least his mother and the herd were safe. So he gets taken from his homeland and goes to work for a cavalry fort. But he's not backing down without a fight. So even when he's in the door, he is still trying to get loose of those ropes and still trying to get home. But we meet the colonel, who tells him that the army has dealt with wild horses before. This one will be no different. Spirit, he is still trying to fight, because even when he's getting his hair cut and his tail cut to look like most of the other horses, he is fighting Murphy. He is fighting he is fighting this barber that they have, a barber that deals with the horse's hair to cut it to make it look shorter. Spirit is actually fighting Murphy so bad, and it's just so funny because even the horses that are working there are laughing at Murphy because he's getting beat up by Spirit. And so after the haircut is done and Murphy has taken all the beatings from Spirit that he can, someone tells another person to take the horse to the stables. But the colonel says, not the stables, the corral. It's time to break that horse. So they all try to ride Spirit, but Spirit just keeps throwing them off. And then when he throws the last person off, he goes straight up to the colonel and he means business. Spirit means business. So the colonel says, Sergeant, tie this horse to the post. No food or water, 3 days. And this is where we meet Little Creek. It uh um a a and this is and and, and this is when we meet Little Creek, a young Indian boy. And let me just tell you, I love their relationship so much. Spirit and Little Creek's relationship is so sweet. So Little Creek is brought in after being seen by the supply wagon. And then the colonel says, take him away, gentlemen. Show him our best. So they start taking him away, and then the colonel says, take him to the post. No food or water. 3 days. So, Little Creek and Spirit begin a little talking, and Spirit actually throws Little Creek a knife so he can untie himself. So he unties himself, and at the last 3 days, the colonel tries to ride Spirit, and it seems like Spirit has given up. But no, he puts his foot down and he throws the colonel off, and everybody is happy. Like, the horses are like so happy. Little Creek is like so happy. And and the colonel says, secure that horse. So it seems like the colonel is gonna get rid of Spirit once and for all. But Little Creek jumps in front of him, knocks him down, and actually takes a gun, unlocks the door, and like Spirit and Little Creek and all the horses run out and they go their separate ways. But Little Creek's village takes Spirit in. And here in this village is where he meets his true love, Lorraine. And him and Lorraine start spending time together because Little Creek thinks Lorraine can teach him some manners. And you know, being an being Little Creek's village is actually Spirit begins to love it there. With him and Lorraine tied up together, they begin to get really, really close. And there's this one beautiful scene with this little girl where she where she is actually petting Spirit on the nose, and then and then and 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 then Spirit huffs, and then the little girl begins to cry, and then Spirit picks her up, and then they begin to hug while he's tied to Lorraine. It's just so cute. And then when the little girl's mother calls her, she says, "Bye bye, horsey." And while Spirit and Lorraine are falling in love, they stumble they stumble they st- they stumble upon the cliff where Spirit's homeland is, and he and 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 this is when actually Spirit says, he says, "For the first time in my life, my heart was torn two ways." So he is missing home, but he also doesn't want to leave Lorraine. And also there's this apple scene where they are sharing an apple that Spirit picked for Lorraine. And it's like Lady and the Tramp spaghetti meatball scene, if you know what I mean. Because they split the apple. And through this movie, Little Creek has been trying to ride Spirit. But when he tries to ride him this time, Spirit almost looks like he's gonna let him ride him, but then he tricks him, and then this is when Little Creek says, "I am never gonna ride you, am I?" And and then and 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 then he says, "And no one ever should." And then he he opens the gate and says, "You can go. Seriously, go. Go home. Get out of here." And Spirit actually goes back for Lorraine. But Lorraine doesn't want to go because she doesn't want to leave Little Creek. Because judging from judging from what I've seen, I cannot be exactly sure, but I think, but I, but I think the boy Little Creek has had Lorraine ever since she was just a pony, because their relationship, they just seem so close, and they just seem to love each other so much. Even when Spirit was being mean to him in the beginning, Lorraine came to Little Creek's defense. So is trying to talk Lorraine into going with him. Their village gets attacked. Their um uh their village gets attacked by the colonel and his soldiers. Apparently, when I looked this up in the movie, even though they don't say so, they have been going to war with each other. But um but um but um but back to the movie at hand. When the village is being destroyed and everybody is running out of their houses, Little Creek is being so brave. He is ready to fight for his home with Lorraine by his side. But Lorraine actually gets hurt because the sergeant asks the the um um the sergeant shoots her. But she's okay though. But she does go down a river. But Spirit stays with her. And also, the sergeant was about to shoot Little Creek, but Spirit stopped him. And now the sergeant is after Spirit as well. But Spirit gets rid of the sergeant by jumping into the river and actually going for Lorraine, but they go down a waterfall. But Lorraine makes it to shore, but she is not okay. She is still hurt. So Spirit tries to stay with them. So Spirit tries to stay with her, but he gets captured by another sergeant who actually owns the train tracks, and he goes to work for the train tracks until Spirit realizes that they are heading to destroy his home. So he stops them by playing dead, then getting out of the trap, and then all the other horses get free while the train in the buildings that they were taking the train to, they catch on fire. And I am telling you, this is a dangerous wildfire that they got going on. But have no fear, because even though Spirit gets stuck on because even though Spirit gets stuck on a tree while he's trying to run away from the wildfire, because he is still locked up in chains, Little Creek followed him all the way there, and he's been tracking all his whereabouts. So Little Creek comes to save him, and they jump into the river, and they're finally at safety. While Little Creek is getting a drink of water, Spirit begins to play with him to 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 actually say thank you for saving me. And Little Creek begins to play with him, and Little Creek says um I knew I would find you. And then who's and then who do you think showed up? The colonel showed up with all of his soldiers. But Spirit and Little Creek run for it. And then at the end they run to a cliff. And then the sergeant thinks that there is no way that they can escape us now, but with all of Spirit's bravery in his strength, he actually makes the other cliff. And actually one of the soldiers do try to get rid of Spirit by actually by um by actually shooting him. But the colonel just puts his hand on the gun and said no. And then he gives Spirit a nod, and then Spirit nods back. And then they go back home to the cabaret fort. And while Spirit and Little Creek are celebrating, they're saying Yahoo! And then in the background, there is the song playing, You Can't Take Me, I'm Free, the reprise. And then, you remember when I said that Lorraine was badly hurt? Well, it turns out that Little Creek found her by the river when he was searching for Spirit. And this is when Little Creek looks at Spirit being taken away, and he says to himself, You saved my life. So it turned out that Lorraine is found and her and Spirit reunite. And then at the end, Little Creek and Lorraine, they end up having this beautiful goodbye moment. And then he ends up telling Spirit goodbye, and Little Creek ends up saying, I will miss you, my friend. And then and and then and then and 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 then Spirit tells us that he's been waiting so long to run free, but that goodbye was harder than he would ever know. And that he would never forget that boy and how they won back their freedom together. It was a very, very beautiful moment. Then he reunites with his mom, and then the song Where I Belong plays again, and he reunites with his herd, and they go running. And then at the end of the movie, Spirit and Lorraine stand by the cliff and actually looking over the mountains. And that is the end of the movie. Oh, and you actually and 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 he actually has a best friend, an eagle, that he actually follows around. And then at the end you see the eagle flying past the screen, and that is the end of the movie. Bye, and see you guys at my bye, and see you guys in my next video, which will be Spirit Untamed. Bye. Oh, um, I didn't. I don't know if I told you this. Um, 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 Spirit's voice actor is actually Matt Damien, and there is actually a show called Spirit Writing Free, and I highly recommend that you guys check that out. Okay, bye.